Razu.
Yeah.
Congratulations are in order.
For
the winner has been declared.
Okay.
I'm congratulating all the Anambrians out there.
I mean, yes, and Dr. Soludo, Dr. Soludo himself. I mean, he has been in this race for a long time, and he has it now. You know that Dr. Soludo is a rustic village boy who grew up and achieved his dreams.
Yeah,
he did. You know, made a first class in UN economics, have become a fellow. You know, was a visiting prof at Swarthmore in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
His father has achieved all his dreams, from CBN governor, economic advisor to Obasanjo. Sometimes when you are born without a silver spoon, things are hard for you to achieve.
Yeah.
But I'm sure this one is achieving his dreams step by step. He's 61 and governor of Anambra State, you know, being CBN governor, you know, and fought a hard battle to be governor. I remember in 2010, when he was a member of the PDP, he lost that election, tried again in 2013. The powers that be in his party, APGA, refused to give him the ticket, but he stayed on and now managed to get the ticket, contested an election that looked that was going to be difficult, and eventually has emerged as governor. So congratulations are in order for him.
Yes.
Professor Soludo. Jacob.
It is okay. You're gonna say something.
Yousafzai Malala.
She got married.
Can you imagine that?
Man.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but the fact that she got married, it's, I mean,
you never think she was never going to get
married. I'm wondering.
I was thinking she's part of the Coven people now.
No, come on.
You know,
she married a very handsome
man. When she
man.
was 15, she was shot.
Yeah.
A lot of people did not think she would survive it, but she came to England, survived it, went to school, studied at Oxford, you know, politics, philosophy, economics, graduated, won the Nobel Prize at the age of 17. Today she's
the
24.
youngest.
Yeah, the youngest, yes. 24. She's married love of her life. And she put it out here yesterday. And to say it was a small nikah ceremony in Birmingham.
Yeah.
You know, I think I admire the way she has lived her life from that first gunshot in Pakistan by the Taliban in Pakistan to how she emerged, became a Nobel Prize winner, and then eventually settling down into her girl activism and getting married.
That's how to live an exemplary lifestyle. Not you're saying you're example.
I know what you want to say. I'll say it for you.
Yes. Let's start with the Nation newspapers this morning. Soludo is governor-elect, and the rider INEC declares APGA candidate winner of Anambra poll. It's a front page story for the Nation this morning.
Yeah.
Though we started the program talking about it, we'll still have to talk about it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the thing about how the Anambra elections eventually panned out yesterday was that Ihiala became very important to end the elections, even though, like we always say here, it was already done till on Saturday. But constitutionally and provisional electoral act meant that you cannot isolate that local government and leave, especially because the numbers hadn't eventually been added up. But when they went to the polls yesterday in Ihiala, the turnout was less than 10% of what we thought was the registered voters, you know, in the entire local government. In fact, accredited voters were less than 24,000. The number that eventually Soludo won with was 5,000 to Soludo yesterday, about 2,000 for the PDP candidates, and a little lesser than that for the APC candidates. In all, we're talking about less than 10,000 votes eventually. You know. So that proviso that the election have to hold in Ihiala was just on paper. The truth was that we're never going to get the numbers to upturn Soludo's victory that already emerged on Saturday. Yesterday morning, on the Facebook page of Professor Soludo, he put there that this is a done deal. The elections are as good as over, you know. And I think he was speaking from the fact that he knew that Ihiala could never have returned the victory he's already had. He had already satisfied the majority of the provincials to be returned as governor-elect. First, he had already won in 18 local governments, you know, and he was leading the majority of votes. So it was just to crown his efforts. And eventually, in Ihiala, the APGA, his party, still dominated and won, you know. Very early in the hours of this morning, the Professor Florence Kobe, the Vice Chancellor of Calabar, who's returning officer for the elections, returned Mr. Soludo as governor-elect. And Soludo dedicated this election victory to the 3 policemen that were killed at the town hall meeting he had earlier in the year, I think in May or April, where government attacked and killed 3 policemen. He dedicated his election victory to those policemen. I think that was exemplary, you know, to at least remember people who put who paid some sacrifice for your ambition. Because if you had not held that town hall, maybe that incident would never have happened. And again, this was the big build up to the Anambra elections. Violence, threats, coercion eventually happened. It was hitch-free. Reports yesterday from Ihiala suggested that there was probably a gun attack by some IPOB elements who attacked some soldiers. It's still not that has
not verified
until now, because IPOB kept insisting it's not us, do not attack anyone. But largely the election was free in Ihiala yesterday, and when the numbers began to pour in, it was clear that Professor Soludo was going to really coast home to simple victory. He did. And you remember Professor Soludo, people are saying that what kind of governor would he be? First, I think that it doesn't look like the kind of man, that can be mentioned in the same sentence with Godfather, because we know that Anambra politics to a large extent has been the Godfather type. Remember Chris, even the current governor who will leave in March, Willie Obiano, was supposed to be a godson to his predecessor Peter Obi. They fought in the middle of the way, like Godfather and godsons, they always fight, and Obiano tried to be his own man. I do not think there will be any attempt, even by Obiano, to lord it over a man like Professor Soludo, egghead, first-class Nigerian in terms of academics, a member of the intelligentsia, was an economic advisor to Obasanjo, remember? And then he was head of the National Planning Commission at the time. He was the brainchild behind NEEDS, remember the empowerment, the Nigerian economic program. And then he became CBN governor for 5 years. 3 times he was Central Banker of the Year, a proper egghead. And at one point he made a comment that if he becomes Anambra governor in 2010, he will make Anambra the Dubai of Africa. He has his chance now.
Let's see that happen now.
To make that happen still, So while we are praising him and congratulating him, of course, we'll be setting an agenda for him. We want to see what he will bring to the table, to change the fortunes of Anambra people, not just economically, but also politically. People like to see there's a big difference between educational leadership, being an intelligentsia, an intellectual. It's very different from political leadership, where you have to satisfy a large section of the population, not just by your economic policies, but also by your social policies, So we'll see how Professor Soludo goes about with this one. But it's hard to doubt him, because he has precedence and he has performed in the past, In 2004, when Soludo said I wanted to capitalize banks from, that time the banks, 2 billion was their base fund, to 25 billion. A lot of people say you're foolhardy. You can't achieve that. How do you want banks to do that? But he went about it. At the end of the day, when he finished the consolidation in the banking industry, 89 banks became 25 banks, and they had 25 billion each, as their base.
And that's the greatness that we have in the banking sector today.
Eventually, even though when Sanusi came, he spoiled everything, and destroyed the very big performing banks in this country. We know what happened with that one. But Soludo's example in the banking industry is still shining today. And I think that's why he has been relevant from that time up until yesterday I was elected governor of Anambra. So let's see him perform, and I will hold him to his standards. His standards are high.
Well, that's very brilliant. We've said all of these great things about Soludo, but can we now say that INEC eventually did a yeoman's job in this election? INEC,
under Professor Yakub, has tried their best to always conduct credible elections in this country. Anambra was not an exception. And you can see that even though their bimodal voter verification system, the BVAS, this was not functional 100%, they still tried to use it, to ensure that votes are credible and counts from the polling unit. I think that's one of the things that INEC have done, and with the help of security agencies, which of course had the luxury of resources in this election, there's no doubt that Anambra elected the governor they deserve in terms of the votes they cast for this election. I don't think there were manipulations or malpractices that could have derailed the exercise. So for INEC, kudos. Security agencies too, kudos for this election. Because at the end of the day, an election that people were afraid of probably was one of the freest and fairest in the country
so far,
in recent times. Yes.
Did you enjoy this video? Hit the subscribe button for more, leave a comment and like. Thank you.